What's remarkable is that these spray sealants, so people poo-poo them, but actually that's done pretty well in this particular test.
Yeah, there's still the obvious line there.
This one, the consumer spray sealant has gone. Hello and welcome to this video. We are having some fun with ceramic coatings, and it has all come out because people believe that if you cock up a ceramic coating you have to wet sand the car to put it right, and they may or may not be right. So what we have here are two test panels with two leading ceramic coating manufacturers that we are not going to tell you. And we've gone from their kind of basic, what we call spray ceramic coating, but it's not really a proper coating, right the way up to their proper high solids coating, stuff like
accredited professional application as well. Yeah.
And we are going to start squirting and rubbing all over this and seeing what is going to be effective against these two things. And I can't remember which one is which. Can you remember which one is which?
No, but that matters, does it?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. More importantly, we're treating this equally the same.
But they go from cheap to expensive, basically. From
or
simple,
ease of application, simple, to the hardest, the most expensive, the accredited. So all I do know is there's a topper, as we all know that some brands, or most brands, have got a base layer and then a top-up layer. When I say top-up, I'm not talking about the sort of spray-on water-based spray sealants, an actual nano coating. So I'm sure you've dealt with things. You've got, let's start with ceramic or nano, because there's a confusion that some people say nano coating ceramic, and a ceramic coating is a nano coating.
And then some people say glass coating. It's because of SIO2, and we don't have that debate now because this is about destroying these things, not classifying them.
A ceramic coating can be hard wearing, but not very chemical resistant.
Yes.
And then you've got ceramic coatings that are chemical resistant, but not very hard wearing. So when I say hard, swell resistancy. So that's why we've got them on standalone and topped up. And in this test, it's just see what chemicals will remove them, not abrasion. And for reference, these two panels have been sanded down in identical process of 1000 grit on a DA sander, then 2000, then 3000, then 4000, to give us a very uniform, cross-hatching, overlapping, microscopic swirl pattern. So we've got a visual aid that you'll see when we unmask. You'll be able to see there's some filling going on. So there'll be an interesting little thing for us that they are going to look very different in filling ability.
Ceramic coatings do add gloss, and what's interesting is when you've got a satin or matte finish, that is created essentially in a very similar way to having the P4000. It's got that edge to it, and there are some coatings you put on and it adds a gloss which can ruin a satin wrap or something like that. Conversely, there are some that generally don't add any, we think.
Well, you can see here, you can see that, even at this angle here, I can see that there's a very big difference between those two. So you could still mess up a satin, like you said, a matte wrap with the wrong ceramic coating. You have to have the right, correct ceramic coating for the application. So we're going to unmask first, and then we will be able to visually see if the ceramic or nano, what you want to call it, coating has gone with chemicals, because obviously it'll go dull and back to the original satin look of the 4000 grit. Do you want to start unmasking?
Alrighty. So looking at these, it's fascinating in terms of where the darkening is. So generally speaking of these two mystery brands, we've started with a very basic spray-on product, which is
spray sealant.
Spray sealant, effectively.
But they might be labelled as ceramic or nano infused. In other videos we talked about that maybe you can use the word ceramic or nano, it doesn't really mean it's got that much ceramic nano in there.
All about how it's been synthesised in there.
But the more important thing is someone might be putting and go to their friends, I put ceramic coating on my car, when actually it's different.
No, you put a spray sealant with a bit of SIO2 in it.
Yeah, so these are the sort of lesser. What I find interesting before we even go any further is, and I can see this very clearly as you move around, the better filling product. In that we know that this is the real ceramic nano, these here, there's toppers on their own. So what's interesting, out of this brand, that is the best filling. and that brand, that's the best filling. That's not their most long-lasting, most durable product.
Exactly. So there's that playoff between durability and all the other properties, and the amount of gloss that's been added effectively with the filling element on with their toppers and the impact that that has. So some of these would be absolutely fine on satin paint, but if you were to add the topper,
Correct.
that would go very wrong.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a real obvious. You know, I can really see that on both of these here. So really, I mean, we are pretty much ready to try and remove them, aren't we? So do you want to describe what products we got over there? So
Well, we've got water first of all, and
Why not?
with detailers we always like to start with the softest option and then build up. Between you and me, I don't think this is going to do bugger all, but we can try. So literally just doing wipes.
What we'll do when we do the actual different strength solvents, we'll go along in a little thin strips. So we've got the comparisons. It's going to be very difficult to try and do small sections. So there's always leaves a comparison behind.
We were a little overconfident with water not doing anything.
Well, yeah.
And it hasn't done
Even on the weakest. So what's the point of going up the strongest?
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's try over there just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why would water remove even just a normal spray sealant? So it's not changing, it's not doing anything.
So I'm going to put that there so I don't get confused.
We'll get rid of that. So what we're going to do, we have, Bert and I have both got the same products. We have alcohol. What is it?
IPA, isopropanol alcohol.
So it's 50% alcohol with 50% deionized water. We put the water in there so that it slows the flash off time down.
It does that, but also IPA isn't actually necessarily as effective at 100%. So if you want a decent panel wipe, for example, and again, this is a whole different debate, but you want to be looking around more like 70%, not 100%.
Yep. So then I've got a tar and glue remover. This happens to be called TARDIS, a certain brand name.
It's solvent-based, I believe it's toluene.
So we've got that product. This is very commonly used in the detailing industry, and even as a maintenance product.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting one because that'll be interesting what it does. Then we've got one of the most, I know is one of the strongest panel wipes I can choose and purchase. Beyond that in my tests, we're looking at gun wash thinners, literally what you wash clear coat out of guns, so dissolve the sort of semi-hardened clear coat. I would not recommend putting on people's cars.
No.
So I find this is the strongest, not the name of the brand, but this is the strongest panel wipe we got, what I can use. And then you have exactly the same in your bottles as well.
I do indeed.
So, shall I go first?
You go first.
Okay.
Age before beauty.
So, what I'm going to do, because we're going to try and do a little section to leave it, I'm going to use the corner of well, in this case, the microfiber cloth. I'm sure Bert in a minute's going to say gloves.
PPE is important, otherwise you end up with calloused hands like Kelly after doing
Dead
this
finger.
But yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend you keep putting all these chemicals on your fingers and body. So what we're going to do, I'm going to wipe. I'm going to go twice. Now it's very interesting. Can you see already how it's repelling? Well, some are repelling, some aren't. So before we even wipe them off, that's not repelled the alcohol. That has. And interestingly, this is just starting to now. It's just starting to ripple. So I may even be able to hold that up and just so we move around the camera and you can see. So there is a very strong characteristic, a visual characteristic, which notice as well in the middle where the masking tape was, where there's been no product. That's what we can easily tell if the product's gone because it'll be flat.
Yes.
What we call a flat surface. So I will do that once more, and then Bert, do you want to wipe it off?
I'll follow you
do
along.
that, and then you wipe it off. Reason why we normally do that is while the product, in this case the liquid, is active, you're better off to remove the residue with a clean cloth. That's the best way of degreasing. So that's all dry in a minute. So while waiting for it to dry, I may as well use a different corner and do the other brand. And the reason why we just chose two brands was so that it's not a characteristic of one brand.
Exactly, so we can be more general and say ceramic coatings in general, but all I'd tell you about these brands, they're both highly respected, they've both been in the game for a long time, and they're both making their own products.
Yes. So that was interesting. I literally, it almost looked like I couldn't make, I'm trying harder than there. Now look, that is interesting. So I've certainly wiped that more up and down, and there's been a complete repellence of that. It was like I just put water on. I didn't. Definitely didn't. Don't recommend you keep sniffing all the solvents. So on this brand, that has completely repelled. I will do it again on camera.
In all but one product?
Yeah, look, you do that and it's like it hasn't even touched at all. Whereas this brand, there was some residue, slow beading. So that's got a completely different characteristic already.
You know there's a risk that we do this test and we don't have anything actually generic. We just say that actually it depends all on the product.
Could be. that's what we're doing to find out. So I'll wipe it once more. You can dry it. So there you go. And I must say, this is the first time I've done this test to this level. You might have done similar before.
Similar, but not exactly the same. And what I would say, actually, this one's wiped off much easier as well. So there is definite distinction.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and be very careful and go sort of in the middle there with the toluene.
Would it not make more sense perhaps to hit the alcohol?
Do you want to do that one
or
next?
I think so.
Okay, we'll do it.
All alcohol, and then we can see.
Let's do the alcohol. So we can do that. It's not a problem. So I've just put more product on because even though the cloth felt damp, you've got the alcohol's going to flash away, leaving just water. So you might think, oh, the cloth's wet.
But it's not got the stuff in.
No. So
we've also had a bit of overspray going on here as well. So,
yep. So what I'm going to do, we'll go through I'm going to do this quickly both.
Yeah,
just going to do the results. So we can speed this up. So you can see the characteristic there. I've gone through there 3 times. I'm going to go through there, backwards and forwards. And it's happened again, how that brand is flashing off and repelling faster. But yeah, just wipe them off if you want, Bert. Why not? It's not a surprise to see that I can't see any change at all at the moment. I wouldn't expect a quality brand ceramic nano coating to be removed with alcohol.
You'd really hope not.
No. So at the moment, even the spray sealants, I don't believe you could see that on camera. I can just, that's the topper.
Yep.
I can just see a tiny difference.
And I can hear too, in fact.
But I'm going to I'll hold these up and see if you can see it. It's so slight. Really slight. So now we've done the alcohol, the IPA wipe down on both, and we've seen the results. It's
time to step it up.
That's it. So I'm going to use the tar and glue remover, the toluene base, because we were talking about earlier that there's citrus-based.
You can get lots of different solvents, but citrus, which is limonene, is another sort of solvent that they use in
which
tar
we're not
removers,
using today.
Which we're not using, but we think that toluene is probably rather more aggressive.
So I'm going to speed up this as it goes on and on and on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through this middle bit there and that one. So if you want to get the cloth,
I'll follow you up with a new cloth.
Yep. So because really we want to just get to the reveal, don't we? The results. So I'm going to go twice, backwards and forwards. I can see it repelling. I'm going to go straight into this one while it's still concentrated. And I'm going to watch the behaviour. And I can see some repelling on some and not others. So if you want to wipe that down, take the residue off. So this type of solvent is a slow dissolving, slow evaporating, simply because really this is a tar and glue remover. And if you want to remove glue from badge tape, you want it to sit there and dwell for a long time, don't you? Same as with a tar, road film. The longer that product can sit there and dwell, the more active it's going to be and dissolve. So that needs more of a buff. So what can you see so far? Has there been a change? I can see a change.
Yeah, I can see a change in both cases. So on this brand here, we've got definite weakening there.
Of their spray sealant?
Well, the spray sealant.
Yep.
Of the topper on its own, not much there.
Not at all, no.
However, in this one, spray sealant, still there.
Yes.
And the topper is vulnerable. So in terms of the two brands, we're seeing that we'd say...
So we'd say vulnerable, but we've still got... There's definitely a product left.
Yes.
Because if this product had been gone, it would be as matte as this masking.
Correct.
But there's been a reduction, so there's been a partial removal, that's probably how I would say it, of that particular brand and that particular topper of that. So, but so far, it's showing they're quite robust, even the
basic ones.
Yeah, the basic.
And then higher up,
I mean,
there's still...
It's hard.
Well, come around here, you can see there is a bit happening.
Okay. It depends what angle, what light. So I'm going to hold this up. I'm going to hold this up to show the camera how it is very slight.
It is slight, but I'd say the only one that's truly untouched is that over there.
Which one are you saying is that over there?
The second pack, yeah,
That one over there. Okay.
It'd be interesting to see how this. I think this will cut through the toppers more, but that's just a guess.
There's a clue there from their one, isn't it? But it doesn't always work that way, does it? The
Not
two
always.
together. And now, of course, we don't know what would happen if they were left for 7 days, or
as in exposed for 7 days. Yeah.
And then have this toluene degreaser, because it's only a couple of days ago there was. So,
and you could argue the higher end stuff quite often takes longer to cure,
Yep.
and therefore that it's not at its full.
But everything's equal. Here
Yes.
in this test, everything's equal. So we've got to do...
Toppers with a toluene.
Yep. So
Actually, this is
I'm going to use a different corner for start again fresh.
so you don't contaminate the toluene with the toluene.
Yeah, I'm just, it's this start again fresh. Why not? Oh,
No.
sorry.
So now we know what toluene and IPA will do.
Yes. Let's do that one.
You need longer arms.
I do need longer arms. It's quite a stretch.
I'm
now.
guessing they've stopped growing.
Yep, they have, yes.
Yeah.
There you go. So you can wipe them off.
Okay, that's interesting. You're giggling like a child.
Well, it's so nerdy, so geeky that we're doing this, but it's valuable, it's useful. What do you think? Go on and start with you. What can you see? What do you notice before I lift it?
as so often in my life, I'm wrong. I would say there hasn't really been much degradation at all.
So for the audience, the topper on this particular brand has been quite well impacted by toluene.
Yes.
The moment that topper has been applied to the undercoat, it has not been affected. Now, is this because there's an anchor? We can't prove this. Is there?
And it's not. This isn't subterfuge, Egypt, because bear in mind, without the topper, we can see what the difference is. So
Yeah.
if that returned to that, we'd know the topper's gone, but the base layer's still there. Well, we
Yeah.
know the base layer's resistant to this stuff already, so that hasn't happened. So somehow the base layer is making the topper stronger.
More resilient.
Yeah.
Yep. And is that the same in this product, would you say? Up this brand? You know, I look at that. I think that's more conclusive, actually. There's not a strange phenomenon going on there. Nothing's really shocked me. I can't see anything obvious there.
The weird thing is, yeah, have a look here though. There's definitely a bit of difference.
But that was the alcohol. And
It was the alcohol.
And that's the toluene. The alcohol
Has had more of an impact than
on
the
this
toluene.
brand than
Yep.
the toluene has.
Yeah.
But they're still there.
Yes.
The products are clearly still there. So let's hold that up and show that what you were saying is the topper here, which is on top of there, making all that change in gloss. When it's applied on top of whatever this product was, that product, the topper has stayed there, more robust. So there's some strange chemistry going on that maybe the brand actually knows, might say on their marketing, the best longevity is you must put this on top of this.
Yeah, and actually that their spray sealant is better than their topper.
Yeah.
When their topper isn't applied to anything else. So it's all interesting
And
stuff.
I actually don't know the entirety of their rules and what they advise, you know.
I should do, but I can't remember them.
So and then this one, the spray sealant has definitely gone with a
Yeah.
toluene. The topper, there's quite similar there. I'd actually say, look, the topper's gone more of IPA there, isn't it?
Yep, again.
And then that mimics up there because the topper is up there and the IPA is worse than toluene. So that brand is less resistant to a milder solvent, but a different solvent. What we would class as more safe, you know, on if you spray it on your hand, it was actually medical alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, if
It's
you told
used for
me,
cleaning.
if you told me you could remove a ceramic coating with IPA, I'd say it's probably not a very good ceramic coating.
But then, when you use toluene,
And it's resistant to it.
and then this one isn't, so now you've got a I could almost have a preference and put into when the car's going to be used and where.
Yeah. Do you drive through hedgerows or do you drive through toluene car washes? So what we're thinking is, just out of interest, because this is just a curio, we are going to try a very strong citrus, so limonene-based cleaner, and we're also going to try some of your killer solvent thinners that you've got downstairs.
Before we do that, we have a strong panel wipe.
Okay.
So we have the really, really strong panel wipe. I could say that the other citrus-based product is really a panel wipe as well. So,
Yes.
so we're going to use a solvent-based panel wipe, which is what I know is the strongest one. This, we're going to go across the top,
Yes.
and then I'm going to use a clean cloth. This will flash very fast. So instead of...
Do you want me to be right there?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very sort of almost volatile solvent. What's the term? Do you know? I mean, sure you do. What happens when this solvent evaporates very, very fast?
Well, it's evaporating very, very fast. It's got a more
didn't know-
greater volatility.
Volatility, yeah. So I knew there was. I'm sure it's when it's very volatile. It happens very, very fast.
There'll be a term, but I'm not a chemist.
Okay. I didn't know if you did. But so I'm going to do the panel wipe, and I'm going to have to be very, very quick through this last third there, like that. I'm going to go back once more, and back there, and then go. And now I'm going to use the same panel wipe. Let's do the top half, obviously, with the topper. So 3 times through there, once, twice, 3. And now, something very interesting just happened there. So we'll come back in a minute. We'll do the other brand at the same time. This can be a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to go through there 3 times and wipe. Now I'm using new corner for the last one.
The complication we have here is to do with the brand of the panel wipe that we're using, isn't it?
Yes, of course, because we don't know what that is and isn't compatible. Sorry, let's get some more on there. It's
We really do need to get you longer arms, Kelly.
well, we could have just moved these panels close to this end. They don't have to be in the middle, but there you go.
No, I'll look into getting you a rack, like a medieval stretch.
There you go. So that's going to flash off already. So now suddenly, I know whose brand this is, and I know by the distributor. They told me that their experience, that their middle product is the best, as a hunch, but couldn't tell me
In
why.
terms of chemical resistance.
Yes, and said, could you do this in your test of the video? I said, yeah, of course we can. He was right.
He was.
Because you can see, so there's a smeariness going on here. So what happens with these strong panel wipes that flash off the volatility? As you apply, you actually destroy the product and you smear it along. So the ideal is you would literally be an inch behind, ideally, rubbing hard to remove all the product. So there's going to be some smeariness. You have to ignore the smeariness and just look at the dullness of what it is. Because if we reapplied that panel wipe, it would give us a really clear, obvious. Yeah. But what's happened is, it has really destroyed
the topper on 2 out of 3 products, but it hasn't taken out the topper.
This is the consumer entry, consumer pro only. This is the accredited, it's of the pro version. You have to be on certain courses, and that's the same on that product. So it's not giving away which one's which, because this brand has accreditation. So it's interesting that that particular strong panel wipe has really hit that hard. So I believe if we did this again, which we can in a minute if we want to, there will almost be what we believe is no product left because there's no filling going on. Yeah. We can't prove if sub-micron it's still on the surface. But the fact it's not got the colour there now.
It's an indicator, yeah.
So we go to that particular brand, panel wipe has not touched it.
With their own panel wipe.
Correct.
That's the thing.
But we've got the citrus one.
We do, and that's the fair thing to test on, I think.
So what we can only do now, I suggest we go across at diagonals with the citrus, so it's a different angle to be able to see what happens there. Now, do you want us to mask up the product so that we don't say the citrus one, or rebottle it? Because ideally we're trying to do a completely impartial,
I think what
unbiased.
we do is nominate our helper from behind the camera to go and squirt some onto a microfiber and then pass you that microfiber.
12 seconds later.
So now we're going to use a citrus panel wipe as opposed to a solvent-based panel wipe.
Which you said what was earlier? What was the term?
Limonene. Is the kind of active ingredient in there, which is, I think, absorbic acid, something like that. It's, as I say, not a chemist. But the idea is, let's see if these resist that as well.
So we're going to go across at a different angle through the middle of both at the same time.
Or both at the same
time. So it's down, down, down. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Like that.
There you go.
Pretty wild. I'm going to need, and you can see this is bubbling because it's got more of a sort of detergent action to it.
Do you want me to buff them? What are you doing?
Yeah, you buff that. If I can throw this to our magic man, who's going to load me back up again. Okie dokie. I've never been loaded up so much. And then we just do.
There's actually something going on where other products have been over there first.
Yeah, there's a double hit. But again, this is what you talk about with panel wipes, is there's no point going for just an IPA one or just a solvent one because you need the combination.
So what Bert's just said there is when we paint panels, cars, over the years of experience, I've always felt like one panel wipe on its own may be effective of one type of product, a glaze or a wax, and then different to a nano coating or a sealant. So I've ended up using 4 different degreaser panel wipes, not brands, actually different chemistry. So I hopefully remove every single part of or oily or residue on the surface, so it gives me the best possible paint finish.
This is interesting. Okay, so the citrus cleaner I know is very strong because I can feel it drying out my fingers, and I should have been wearing gloves, which is very naughty. But I would say
Yeah, I know.
it's had
changed now, isn't
more
it?
of an impact on that one. So I think one of the moral of the story is if you're using a ceramic coating and you're using the products of one manufacturer, you need to make sure all your products for that coating
Are compatible.
are compatible.
So you're saying that, as you can see it on camera, that degreaser, citrus degreaser, cleaner, power cleaner, whatever you want to call it, has not done much there on those 2 there, or those 3 of that brand. But this brand wasn't very repellent to a certain brand's panel wipe.
Yeah.
When we switched over to a different brand, that the citrus degreasers now have really affected.
Despite it being resilient to the apparently more aggressive solvent.
So the sort of almost moral or summary here is not all ceramics are equal.
No.
They're all great, but they've got their characteristics, their pros and cons, which as an end user, a person having it applied to their car, unless a detailer could say, are you going to drive it and how are you going to wash it? What are you going to wash it with?
And how many manufacturers are going to say, ours are really good at physical abrasion, but it's just totally crap at chemical?
Of course,
they're not ever going to say there's anything bad about the product. So the only way to do it is with testing. Now, some manufacturers of ceramic coatings do actually have products where they say, look, this is mostly for chemical protection, or this is mostly for abrasion protection, or this is for durability. And they know what they're talking about. They made these products. So that's one to go. But when you've got their kind of top product, and so many have got their top accredited product, the answer is no, they're still vulnerable. So you need to know what they're good at and what they're not good at and be able to advise your customers.
Hopefully, when it's accredited, because there's always been a myth, it's a smoke and mirror as well.
Yeah.
If you're accredited and the people training it, the manufacturer of these products, know these facts and tell you how to educate the end user, the person that's purchasing their car and having it coated, this is what to wash it with. I wonder if people actually go, oh, I'll use another shampoo. What if that shampoo has got citrus cleaner in it or snow foam?
It's got something in it, yeah.
Yeah, if it's snow foam, a citrus base.
Well, a citrus pre-cleaner.
It might really hurt that brand, but not this brand. So there is some almost this here, if anything, I hope it shows that maybe their range are more compatible. To mix and match could be quite deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, as you say, with maintenance products that they use.
That's what I mean. The maintenance product, they use someone else's maintenance products because they've got it left. It could be detrimental to the different brand ceramic, and then they're going to sort of moan about the ceramic didn't last when actually they didn't realise what they've done.
Well, I can't get over how much damage that's done because, again, it's unlikely. I mean, so if you've got toluene solvent, tar remover is something you'd use in maintenance. But citrus is something everybody would use. In a citrus pre-wash is the most common around there. Citrus, tar remover, all the rest of it. So the fact it's vulnerable to that, scary.
I can remember probably 15 years ago, a citrus degreaser being used on TV. Long time ago, on a detailed program about detailing and the cost of detailing. And a lot of the regime was that it was a safe, citrus-based degreaser.
But again, it's all about concentration. It's,
Of
again,
course.
it's this pH thing. So, for example, if you have something that's pH 2 but a very light concentration, you can put it on your skin, no problem at all. Not saying you should. But then you could have something that's pH 4 with a really high concentration, you put it on your skin, and you ain't got no hand left. So, there is a really difficult thing to point out.
But there was wheel cleaners that come out that were claimed to be non-acidic.
Until they went on the surface of the wheel, reacted with contamination on the wheel, and then suddenly were pH 2 at a high concentration.
But because it was citrus-based. But look there, you would never think, I mean, literally, orange-based has managed to look like it's partially destroyed.
But then you've got other things like not all acids are acidic.
No, I know, okay.
So it's
We're going off tangent, but you see, it's a very interesting set. Now, there's one last thing. Would you like me to go and get some gun wash paint thinners?
Yeah. So as you can see, Kelly is now gloving up. He's good at this. And the reason is because even with his blatant disregard for PPE, he's decided to put the gloves on. I'm not going to be involved or touching this one because I like my skin.
If I was to use this gun wash thinners to degrease a panel of paint, I'd actually double the gloves up.
Because it melts.
It melts. So it melts and you can get the first pair off before the second, you start melting. So I'm going to be fast because it's a fresh, clean cloth. There is no other product on there, so it can only be this product. Now it's going to have that same smeary effect as a move it around. I'm just going to dunk it in and wipe it off.
Okay.
It's going to end up, it either destroys or it doesn't.
It's going to be messy. Cool. So Kelly's getting a move on. The smell of this is fairly overpowering. I'm keeping my distance even more than normal.
So I'm going to give this you can see, like I said, how quick it flashes off. So if we get some sort of zigzag motion from residue, we have to accept that's there. And then I'm actually going to flip it this side so it's not got a crust contamination. And then we'll just let it dry out and see what we get and see what's left. That was quick there. It's just starting to, it doesn't literally melt within seconds, but it's going fine. It's going bobbly and soft. So that means it hasn't gone through to my hands. But if you held that cloth for any longer, it probably could. So as I said, there's some smeariness you have to sort of ignore there.
The interesting thing here is that the top end accredited coatings, in both cases, are not surviving as well as the next step down.
Which is actually a consumer can buy, that one.
It is, but isn't that the one which has got focuses on chemical protection? We'd need to have a look at them again, but we'll have a look. What's remarkable is that these spray sealants, so people poo-poo them, but actually that's done pretty well in this particular test.
Yeah, there's still the obvious line there. And then we've got...
This one, the consumer spray sealant has gone.
Yeah. It's so slight, isn't it?
Yeah, that's game over.
But the top up
on its own is
it's
just,
done well.
Just hanging in there.
But more importantly though, can we clearly see, this one's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like I want to do, I can't, but I almost want to go, that one doesn't exist. Can we now see that we've tried 5 different degreaser chemicals and used gun wash, which would dissolve and melt paint if left long enough on there, and they're still there.
Yeah, they're still.
This is all a bit awkward.
Yeah,
but it's not. We don't make it. It's not our problem. It's not our fault. But generalising there, they're repellent. So if I was now to paint a car that had nano coatings on,
yes. Well, this is an interesting thing. When you're going to paint over the top, if you think you've removed a nano coating, has it removed a nano coating? Because clearly, no, and that leads into another huge problem. Now, that's where it you always get people. I'll get the shotgun. So we've tried all the different sort of chemical ways of having a go, and we've learnt quite a bit. We've learnt that there are citrus gets rid of some coatings, that solvent gets rid of others, that generally speaking water doesn't get rid of coatings.
Of course.
Surprise, surprise. And that toluene, or rather solvent tile remover, doesn't have too much of an impact either, apart from on some of the lesser products. So we're now left with a situation, what if you actually want to get rid of your coating? What if you're going to be doing a respray? What if you're going to be reapplying a different coating?
Paint protection film.
Paint protection film, perfect.
Because it won't stick.
Yeah.
Transfers, decals, people have put stripes on, it's not going to stick. There's probably more times you might want to remove it than you actually realise.
Yes. And we've identified that chemically it's not particularly brilliant, so the next option is physical abrasion. And Mr. Physical Abrasion himself, equipped with a Nudos no less, is going to be having a little go at this one, which is one of the 2 products. So this is one of the products that was closest to the camera when we were originally doing it. And we're going to see how effective you are.
I'll speak as I'm asking. We've got a duplicate of what we had before. We've got the lesser product, then the sort of topper, then a consumer, then the pro use, and then the topper over there.
So here, one thing is, it is more difficult to tell, apart from obviously the ghosting of the tape, which has got the coating, which hasn't, because we're working with a gloss surface. Yeah. But we should still be able to identify
I will wipe any dust and dirt off. So the only way, really, the quickest way we can tell what's on there now, if there's a product or not, apart from I can feel that some areas are slippy and grabby.
Slickness.
It's slick,
exactly what we're talking about.
Is what we're looking at is, that's where it shows quite well how you got the flat water behaviour, and you come across...
Again, because the panel was polished, even just polishing paint can improve water behaviour.
So it's going to be very slight between the changes. And obviously, we hope it's going to be more obvious up here. But yes, so as you just said, even that's got some sort of beading action because it's highly polished. But then what you can see, I can see a difference in size of beads there.
Yes.
There's a different tightness there where the topper has made that bead better. And now how much smaller the beads are there than there. Very geeky, but the smaller, the higher. It's the contact angle, isn't it?
Yes.
The better, the smaller and tighter the beads are, and they're tall, that always indicates it's a better
Cohesion tension properties are different. Yep.
So so you know, I think most people, if they had any of those on their car, would be happy that their car's beading.
Yes.
But we here could definitely see.
Well, you say that, but then the cheap consumer spray sealants can often produce absolutely amazing beading.
Yeah. So all we can do now is see after polishing if any of these still bead.
Yeah.
Now, what I will do, before I'm going to do that, I'm going to use alcohol, because I've noticed that the alcohol mixed with distilled water can be a very good test as well. And I don't know the science behind why, but when I use alcohol over nano coating, sometimes it's easier to see the difference. So look, it's flat. Yeah? See the repellency from the topper? Standalone, hard wearing, not chemical resistant. Standalone hard wearing with a chemical resistance, there's a difference.
Yes.
Now we go to the ultimate. That's really starting to show. That is the standalone. Now the standalone with a topper,
The best of the lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the fact there's a difference in the surface tension when you start.
I think it is surface tension. There's also a difference in the smell. It's lovely.
Yeah. So now you can easier see the difference between products compared to the water.
Yeah.
Very different. Massive difference there. That, you know, when we just put water across them, they look the same.
Well, I'm sure there'll be a YouTube chemist somewhere who will explain the difference between us, who are much smarter than us, with much more time.
So,
on their
and
hands.
actually you can see this when you wipe dry as well. You can see how it's, and then over here, it disappears. And then that line down the middle, it makes it really easy. So I actually prefer with ceramic nano coatings to test if they're still there. Top tip, alcohol mix, not water. Because you just said earlier, a perfectly polished panel,
It's
will
going to
bead
bead
well.
anyway. Yeah.
So I can't see a difference. Whereas here, you know, it's really easy to see that line down the middle currently. That's really obvious, which is the residue dampness. So when I polish, I'm going to use the water and this. We'll try both. So what I'm going to do, use the Ulos 51E. I've gone in pitot mode because I think it's obvious that most people use a dual action machine in.
And just refresh our memory, P2.
15 mil.
15 mil, so this is the equivalent of a long throw DA.
And it's very popular machines.
Yes.
Long throw DA, so I've gone 15 mil. This is a medium cut pad. It's an orange HDO foam pad, so it's a medium, so a lot of one-step cutting. It's done, very popular. And I've gone for a compound that's also bang in the middle of cut range.
Is that one of your special juices?
No, it's not.
Okay. Kelly uses his own bespoke compounds for some of the training sessions we've been on before, and it's a special mix of this and that, and it's Kelly's
So what I'm
special
going to do,
juice.
to be fair, I'm just going to do 3 pea-sized blobs. I'm just going to set the machine to a certain speed, and like, let's say we do 2 passes,
Okay.
and see what we get.
I'm going to stand back.
Because
so
obviously, if
they
we keep polishing and polishing and polishing, at some point, nano ceramics can't last.
Exactly.
So I'm going to choose a speed, start the machine up, and then move side to side. So I go up and down. So there's like twice. So what I'm going to do,
That hasn't been primed very well.
but it's not going to, it's not primed. So I'm going to put, and we'll repeat this with a new pad over there. I'm going to do another 3 blobs on the top half. Yes, I could easily pick another pad up and use the 3 blobs.
But it's highly saturated, that pad.
I believe because there's 2 layers on there, it's fair to do that. As long as you do it on the next panel as well, it's fine. So I'm going to start in the middle again, sorry. Obviously, it's a very short dwell time. Do it once more and stop. So medium cut compound, medium cut foam pad. I'm going to wipe this compound off dry. So, and then I'm not too bothered about a slight bit of streakiness at the moment. I'm going to turn the cloth again. Obviously, I know that if you polish for long enough for the right cut, it's going to cut. It's going to
And if you polish long enough, you'll take the paint off the metal.
Correct. Yes. So yeah, that's going to happen. So now I'm going to use an IPA, which we've got one ready from earlier. So I'm going to reapply the IPA evenly. And I actually remember I'm just cleaning the surface, but you could already see the characteristics I described earlier. So we almost don't need to use water. So now you can see while I'm polishing why I really like using alcohol all the time, because it's an indicator of what you've achieved, and it might remove some fillers as well.
Yeah.
So
So we've got to be careful also in terms of getting water behaviour, making sure we're not just having water behaviour as a response of the compound itself, because otherwise you're adding to the mix.
Yep. So what I'm going to do now it's clean, we'll start, as though we didn't see that, let's start with the water, see what it beads like or doesn't bead. So we can now, so this is what's really interesting. You can see the streak with the IPA,
but not with the water.
Still beading. You can see why I use IPA, because just see a line difference there, can't you?
It's almost like Kelly's just taken out shares in IPA.
And it's one of the only products I think no detailing manufacturers relabeled.
No, not strictly as itself, because it's almost like a base element.
Because the amount of people that say, what's the best IPA?
Yeah.
And I'm like, eBay, Amazon.
Well, to me, anything on draft that's under £5 that fits in a pint glass.
But so you can see now, this would be very difficult to see.
Yeah.
You can see it now, that product there, but on the middle of the range products and the topper,
they're still...
Could you honestly say there's a strip through the middle?
No.
Very difficult. The high end, I'll put there, something is definitely changing there.
It is, but this was the most impressive in the first place, so it had further to
Correct. So when you wipe that now with the water, again, it's much harder to see any change.
Correct.
It's all just pushing around the same.
Yep.
Now, so that's why, hopefully it makes sense. You saw earlier when I was using the alcohol. So I'm going to do a dry that first. Let's dry it so that it's literally just the same alcohol again. So you can see it took me many years ago, I adopted this. Right, the only way to test that you're getting somewhere and removing the product. So technically, has the nano coating completely, ceramic coating gone? It's hard to say because it's got a changing characteristic, but it's not as flat.
No, it's true, but with only a pass or two, if we do find that it's really removing it a bit, then...
So this is, again, I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to spray it on there now. And it gets really easy to see. See what happens here. It's not so easy to see there. Not so easy to see there, but now you can see the change.
Oh, there's a whole outline. From where I'm standing, you can see two sausage-shaped outlines.
And there it is there.
Yeah. Clear as day.
We just need to do the other product, the other brand.
Fun and games. Well, let's switch these over and see what's what. So this is bonnet number 2. As you'll see, it has a couple more divisions, and that's because we have yet another set of products, and this particular product line has another string to its bow. And interestingly, this one has a distinction between the ones that are focusing on chemical protection and the ones that are on physical protection. So
it actually tells you on their packaging.
Exactly, and we found that to become true, so to speak.
With chemicals.
With the chemical side of things. The question is, will it also be true with the physical?
10 minutes later when we've unmasked this.
Yeah.
So I've noticed, and this will be the first time I've seen this, is, I'm sure you can see it, Bert, come around here, there is actually a darkening effect to what we think is perfect polished paint.
So this is a ceramic coating that clearly fills and adds gloss darkening impact.
Yep. So the reason why we use those sanded ones, we didn't know it's going to do this, because normally I found ceramic coatings don't, or it's very slight. So this one, on all 3 of those, by far they're the best where they've had a topper on.
So in terms of visuals, not that we're naming or anything about these things, but in terms of making paint look good, this ceramic coating really does.
This brand
impresses.
So again, I'm going to wipe it dry like I did last time, make sure the dust and dirt's off there. So, it's interesting. This is very interesting. Look what's the lid. Feel that cloth where it grabs. I would not want that product. That's the first. It's completely not what we expected. That is not what you'd want on its own, is it?
No. That's bizarre.
It's really sticky. Whereas obviously over the top, the topper has made it slick. That I would not want on a standalone at all.
No, I wonder if this is one of those that they do standalone or only with a topper, because a lot of this particular brand do offer it as a pack.
Is it happening there as well? It is, isn't it?
To an extent, yeah.
What about this one then?
No, that was all right.
So we're going back to the middle one of the person that distributors there said, in their opinion, is the best product.
I would say the top end one actually has slightly better darkening and looks slightly sexier with a topper on.
But that is a very poor experience if you don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, and we need to check this, if the topper is one of those compulsory, you must apply
Yes.
this. It's not optional, you must apply it.
Yep. Okay.
Which it may well be. But now into the mix of, we've got all sorts of bits of microfiber to work with you.
So, start again, new pad, the orange HDO pad, 3 pea-sized blobs on the bottom side, and then we'll do another 3, so 6 in total on the outside. Start in the middle.
So, and again, we've given this plenty of time to cure as well. This
Yeah.
isn't fresh off the press.
Same speed, nothing's changed. I just turn the machine off and put it down before. And now, I'll do the top half, the extra blobs. You know, so everything is equal. Once more, like I did before. I'm done. So that is
that's
now
interesting.
not sticky.
Not sticky. Now, is that because it's been removed?
Or is it because we've got the fillers from the compound and the oils?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But we will find out.
We'll find out with the truth serum.
Yep. So that's actually quite hard to wipe off. It's very grabby, but let's get my alcohol. So I'm going to put this cloth underneath, out the way. So I'm just going to alcohol wipe everywhere first. Obviously that gives me the chance to see if there's any of that strange. Yes, there is. You can see a line again. I'm going to flip the cloth.
On the topper?
Yeah, on the topper, yes. Yes, definitely. I think you can see it'd be very, very difficult, what we found in the last couple of hours, to have your absolute preferred product or brand.
Yeah, none of them do everything.
Yeah, it's a bit like cars. That, well, you're just going to say there's only one proper car in the world, that's a Subaru.
Yeah, yes.
But because they do a job, they take it down a road. But one person likes a BMW.
No, you have a Forest Rest GI because it can go off-road, it can take the family, it's a sports car, and go around
it's
a
an
racetrack,
all-in-one.
it can embarrass us. It is an all-in-one without the compromises. The only problem is it's not particularly pretty. But then, nor are we, so.
Speak for yourself. So, let's see what happens to the water behaviour. Dry that off. So, is there anything obvious? That's gone flat straight away. Very flat. Which, remember, the other brand, water, didn't
Have any impact.
any impact, yeah, or didn't show a change. Even that one.
Yeah.
So this is really wrong to do this. You can make a conclusion. It's a terrible conclusion. You'd have to do this so many times. Currently, it feels like this brand has got less,
Physical abrasion
Yes.
resistance.
but it's a very one-off crude test. It would be foolish to actually make a complete assumption from
Yeah.
that. So,
And it certainly hasn't all gone.
no. But when I go over here,
Fairly consistent still.
yep, where it's got the 2 layers.
Yeah, we're going to need your alcohol mix to be able to
Yes.
define with that.
Yep.
So.
So yeah, so we've got 2 layers. So I'm going to dry that, flip it over. I mean, not that we've set out to do this, because it's just we was literally whatever we find we'll publish and show.
Yeah.
But this is fortunately showing that they actually do a good job.
Yes.
That ceramic coatings aren't just a gimmick.
It's not just a gimmick, but I think, to be honest, people screamed gimmick in the early days of it because of their own cynicism or commercial desires. But I think now most people
Realise, yeah.
realise that a proper ceramic coating, and I think that's an important term, has some real benefit.
So let's do it as an IPA. So as I do that there, come along there, then go over there. So let's wipe it. I can always reapply. So it's interesting how the one with the topper is really, really obvious. You know, it's gone. If that's gone, we don't know, but
It's reduced.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's an obvious boundary. So now let me dry that and spray a light mist. See if there's a pattern. Yes, certainly up here. So we've proven that chemically we've never removed all of any of the
Yeah,
chemicals.
not one product can resist everything.
Yeah. But what was more important, they all had something left, even if it's minute. It's difficult because in the sanding scratches, is it because you just can't physically get in there? We don't know, but it's the only test we can do. But abrasive-wise, very quick pass. Small amount of compound has started to have an impact. Difficult to say if that's definitely gone, but the fact that water behaviour was still there.
Can we get, sorry, just to be a bit of a dick, can we get more across here?
Let me take off the residue so you can
squirt some alcohol.
Yeah, go on then.
Every man wants. Try not to squirt it right at you.
But it, almost in this brand, it's as though on their own they're not doing very well.
No.
It's like they must have their topper.
Yeah.
Once they have their topper, it's the winner brand almost to me and you.
Yeah.
Without the topper, they're the losing brand.
But then again, I mean, we've had the growth of two-stage ceramic coatings for ages, where you do have to have two because that's the only way you can get all the protective properties that you want. So
Because there should only be a boundary there, shouldn't there?
yeah, but so it's a different impact here.
Yeah. Now,
That's interesting.
the summary is here, you can remove nano coating, but you do need to polish it.
You do need to polish it, and how do you know it's all gone?
Difficult, apart from just
You have to
polish
spray a
it.
lot of this, but we're half pissed now just for doing this. By the time you've done a whole car, you can be slaughtered dancing around to some rock music.
If you see the cameraman go, you know why? So this is almost saying that there's a myth about wet sanding ceramic coatings away, that you need to wet sand, isn't there?
But we know you need to wet sand in certain circumstances.
If we stop this video now, we've just said it polishes away very easily.
Yeah. Wait till you get to a high spot and then start doing with your polishing machine, with your give and all the rest of it, and you're not going to do it there. You need to
And some of the reason why I know I need to polish longer than that is if I was to get even masking tape or I was trying to apply PPF, I've noticed when I'm trying to put the PPF down, if I have to re-lift because there's a little bit of dirt, I'd lift it and think, that's lifted too easy. You get familiar with brands.
Yeah.
And even though I've done that, I would really and truthfully be hitting this panel with a wall or a microfiber pad with a far more heavy cut compound to make sure I've definitely got rid of all the ceramic nano coatings, and then chemically clean because of the oils and residues from the compound.
Test.
And then test. So you can imagine it's a bit of a ball ache.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a nightmare, but it's the right way to do it.
So really, one of the moral stories is if you go and get a detailer to apply a ceramic coating, please do not call them up 2 weeks later and say, you know what, I've read about this PPF thing. Do you mind taking the coating off and putting the PPF on? Because he'll kill you, or she, but they'll kill you.
So the wet sanding myth. I have actually had to wet sand ceramic coating off before, which seems silly because I just polished it off very easily. It's when it's over applied, which they call high spots. You know, someone's buffed and left the residue. Normally that means it's in a corner somewhere, under a mirror, the worst place possible. So high spots. You can wreck paint if you don't know what you're doing with some of the pro products that are up this end. So it just so happens.
It's
like magic.
Blue Peter.
Yeah, like Blue Peter. If you are an English viewer, it's Blue Peter. So I have created a panel which has got high spots on.
So in the Blue Peter styly, what we have here, should we lift up and show the folk? This is how not to apply ceramic coatings. We've got over application, we've got high spots. Looks like somebody sneezed some stuff here.
And this is both brands
and others
on the same panel of ceramic coatings, nano coatings. Do you know what? It's a nightmare when you mask a car up, so I can't turn the car over. There you go. So of course, we've got some great examples of over application. Now,
if you'd like Kelly to apply some ceramic coating to your car,
they'd look like this afterwards. It'd be that good finish, quality finish. Now, we know that that's the most aggressive,
that's a higher end, that's professional.
So I actually mean, I know I've got to be the most aggressive to remove them. So,
say aggressive, it's shouting at you. It's being offensive.
So I'm just going to move this up so I can press down with the polisher there. And I might even just give you the polisher for a change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just try and polish that away and see what happens.
Bravery or stupidity, one of the two.
It's not a car.
Okay. Well, you're setting me up to fail, but never mind, that's fine.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know, giggle.
There you go. So, have some compound. I will hold the panel. Would you like some compound, or do you want to stay with what's on there?
Give me two.
You want 2 blobs?
2 little blobs.
You want 2 squirts, yeah?
Yeah.
Give it a go. You can be as aggressive as you want. Lean on it.
Me aggressive?
So, go for it.
Right, I'm going to put some torque into it.
Yeah, I'm shaking. You're leaning. Now the pressure he's putting down and the effort, you wouldn't probably do that on a car.
No.
We can. It's safe. You know, it's a test panel designed for doing stuff like this.
Like polishing in the olden days.
Right. So keep hold of the polisher. I might as well wipe it straight away. Let's have a look what we got. So I'm going to hold it up to camera.
So you were hoping I wouldn't remove it.
No, it hasn't removed it.
No, but in places. Give me another 25 minutes.
So you can see that you're quite proud that it's starting to remove in the middle.
Yeah.
And it hasn't on the edges. Now, with nano coatings, we spoke earlier about how many hours or minutes or days they've been cured. I have had experience where ceramic coating, it's a week old and long enough. You can, and the reason why I know this, we get this panel, start fresh, sand it all down, apply nano coatings and leave them for a week, 2 weeks for when we know pupils are coming in. And they can use whatever machine they want, whatever pad, and we're very confident they can just push and push and push. And it's like sometimes 10 times over. What happens is the high spots go shiny because they were matte, and it follows the pad. This was done 2 days ago. Now, this is showing that in that middle bit there, it's going.
Yeah, in isolation.
Yeah.
I've done pretty well there.
So we can carry on if you want, and it will go. But I'm very confident to know that could well be because it's only 2 days old.
So a quick note from the editor. When I put those coatings on, they were on really, really thick, artificially, just for this test. And that might have actually slowed down how fast they cured.
It's still wet.
Sounds like you're making excuses for being quite efficient at removing this. It is actually working, I'd say this. I mean, you underestimate me.
You're a big guy.
Well,
Yeah, you pushed hard.
that's not what she said.
So, as I said, we have training panels that we leave the coatings on for a week period, 2 weeks, and you definitely can't polish it off. So, just by chance and luck, and this is
Are you going to Blue Peter me again?
again a Blue Peter of a Blue Peter. This was done 2 days ago. So there's another new test going on here. It just shows that it hasn't obviously fully cured. So I just so happen to have exactly the same product
Funny that.
on another panel, it's a much larger
That
panel.
has cured.
That has cured, and I'm very confident with that you won't remove.
Well, I don't want to tempt fate, but yeah, no.
Let's go and get it.
Oh, I really hope I can remove this.
So there it is.
It's a huge car.
And there's actually a patch here as well.
Yeah, let's do that one. That's going to be...
Yeah. So, but as you can see, there's lots of scribbles and zigzags and numbers.
It's some of your finest work, Kelly.
To be honest, yeah. So it's got some sanding patches.
I think you've gone through a bit there, I'd say.
So this is, I mean, there's key scratching going on over there. So you can see this is genuinely one of the panels we use for doing demonstrations. Soon I'm going to probably rub that all down and repaint it so it's fresh again. But we have dried on ceramic nano coatings and there, and there's a little bit left there. There's that there.
Yeah.
They have had longer to cure. They're at least a couple of weeks old, I'd say now. So let's not change anything.
Okay.
Let's put your 2 squirts.
I'll have 2 squirts, please,
Yeah, you
boss.
want 2 squirts? Here you go.
All right, then.
You're trying even harder.
Yeah, of course I am. I'm competitive.
You have to be if you own a Subaru.
Yeah.
So I'd say at the moment that's about the same period of time as earlier.
Yeah, well, I can tell you now, not working. I can see it.
You are really trying, aren't you? You are really trying. Imagine doing this on a customer's car.
I'm not a detailer, Kelly, so I wouldn't be doing this on a
No,
customer.
but imagine doing this on a customer's car. You'd have to be sort of thinking all the time, hang on a minute, how much clear coat is here? Am I being safe? That's got warm, not red hot, but it's got warm, but more importantly, we'll show on the camera, but
Yeah, but can I just say, it's really nice and shiny around here. I mean, I'd dread to see what the micro-marring is,
has
but
it done
the rest of it.
anything to the high spots?
Well, no. No, it hasn't. And this is where you get your block sander out.
Correct. That's literally almost the end of this video, really. The summary is there. I'm not going to show you sanding down.
That looks like a fungal infection.
So we'll capture it on camera, but yeah, you are right. This has got shiny. There was some really deep scratches that are starting to round off, but it has done zero, pretty much zero to the high spot. So there is that bit in the corner that we had 4 pupils in at once, and they all sort of had a go.
I wouldn't want to go on the edge there with a DA.
But that's the realistic areas where it's going to get missed.
Yeah, well, that's where you get your block sander out and stop pissing around with the polishing machine.
On an edge of a car where it's hard to polish afterwards.
Well, there is that, yes.
So you can see there's almost going around in full circle here, but there's a reason why some of these hard-wearing, long-lasting, professional, accredited only coatings
are not available to the public.
If they go wrong, there's not many people.
Scotty, you have a problem.
Yeah. So might as well be passed for you, Dos. I'll move that out of the way for you. Yeah, we'll capture that. That's you've.
You say capture that. Capture my failure.
I was about to say, great, he's failed.
Do you want me to point at my failure?
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Marvellous. Okie dokie. Well, I think we shall wrap up this video here. I need to go to a corner and weep.
Yeah.
And also go around the M25 very slowly with a soggy rear tyre.
Yeah.
And we will be back on your screens fairly soon.
Of course.
If I can bring myself to do that, I think it'll probably just be yourself. And I'll just be sat here crying in the corner about high spots you can't remove.
Hopefully, you've made it to the end. It's been useful, helpful.
Hopefully you haven't.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you.